Do you know how many aircraft fly faster than Mach 2.0? The answer is many. Various types of aircraft exist, including those used for research, military objectives, and simple reconnaissance. However, every time a supersonic plane takes to the skies, it does it with a unique flair. Just picture yourself 5 kilometers in the air, waiting for the radio operator to say go, then pushing the throttle all the way back as the engine propels you forward at speeds unmatched by any known form of life. You may be riding shotgun, but you're not the speed demon. Your plane, the incredible equipment that allows you to soar above the skies in a matter of minutes, is a work of art, the pinnacle of military technology. If you want to know which planes can create an experience like this, stay tuned to learn about 10 of the world's fastest aircraft to ever fly in the skies. Number 10. Sukhoi Su-27 Flanker. With a top speed of 2.3 Mach, a twin engine, and the first fly-by-wire control system on a Russian aircraft, it represents the cutting edge of USSR craftsmanship. The new American 3.5 Gen fighters, like the F-15 Eagle, necessitated its construction with air superiority in mind. It has a 30mm gun and 10 exterior pylons that can carry air-to-air, heat-seeking, short and medium-range missiles. In light of its many successes and widespread acceptance, a plethora of versions have developed. After 35 years, when the first flanker took to the skies, some of its features were still cutting edge. They include the Sukhoi Su-30, Su-33, Su-34, Su-35, and Su-37. When designing the Su-27, as a counter to the F-15, the Soviet Union, like the United States Air Force, prioritized maneuverability over raw speed and altitude and spent roughly $41 million doing so. What would you prioritize in an aircraft? Number 9. General Dynamics F-111 Aardvark. The fastest aircraft on this list at Mach 2.5 is not a fighter but rather a tactical bomber. Prior to its retirement in 1998, it could carry a payload of 31,526 pounds of bombs via its 9 hardpoints and 2 weapon bays. It could also be armed with a nuclear bomb, air-to-air missiles, or a 2,000-round machine gun. The Aardvark's primary function was in the air, hence the gun was rarely installed on it. It was the first mass-produced aircraft to include a variable sweep configuration, prompting tests for use from aircraft carriers. Not in use anymore because the F-15E Strike Eagle currently flies strike missions, and the B-1B Lancer does supersonic bombing missions for the United States Air Force. Unfortunately, it sounds like this aircraft was just not in demand, yet to purchase an Aardvark, you'll need $10 million. What a great deal, right? Number 8. McDonnell Douglas F-15 Eagle. The United States Air Force continues to use the F-15, which has been called one of the most successful airplanes ever produced. But why is that so? With its dual engines and nearly 1-to-1 thrust-to-weight ratio, the Eagle can reach speeds of Mach 2.5 while carrying 39,683 pounds. That's the amount of about 3 African elephants. During development, the goal of Mach 3.0 was decreased to Mach 2.5 to reduce expenses, with a final price tag hovering around $30 million. It entered service in 1976, and fortunately will still be used by the Air Force well after 2025. Nearly 1,200 of these F-15s have been produced, and many have found new homes in countries including Japan, Saudi Arabia, and Israel. The F-15 has 11 hardpoints that can be used to attach a wide variety of weapons and supplies. We can attribute more than 100 aerial victories to this buster and its 20mm M61A1 Vulcan gun. Number 7. Mikoyan MiG-31 Foxbat. The Mikoyan Gurevich 31 Foxhound's top speed was limited to Mach 2.83 due to the risk of engine damage at higher speeds. Its massive twin engine allowed it to reach speeds of over Mach 1.0 at both high and low altitudes. It's a Soviet interceptor, and it's equipped with powerful active and passive radars to help it hunt down and destroy opposing aircraft. A frontal area 559 miles in length is within the supervision of 4 Foxhounds. Among its arsenal of armaments is a 23mm gun with 260 rounds, 4 or 6 AAMs of various ranges, short-range IR missiles, and a medium-range AAM designed specifically for use against high-speed targets. The precise number of MiG-31s produced until 1994 was never actually revealed, which was when they stopped manufacturing this aircraft. But estimates put the number between 400 and 500. The countries to use this aircraft are Russia and Kazakhstan, a needed aircraft in their air forces as of modern times. Number 6. XB-70 Valkyrie. The North American XB-70 Valkyrie was a supersonic strategic bomber that was developed at a cost of $750 million as a prototype for the projected B-70 nuclear bomber. The XB-70, which first flew in the late 1950s, was powered by 6 turbofan engines and could reach speeds of Mach 3+ while flying at altitudes of 70,000 feet. Since no other plane could possibly keep up with the B-70 at such speeds, and raiders had trouble picking it up at that height, it was assumed that the B-70 was safe from any intercept, Its purpose was to store the 14 nuclear weapons it could carry and provide fuel for the 4,287 miles trip into the Soviet Union, and subsequent escape without refueling. Only 2 of these planes were ever made, and the last one flew in 1964. Sadly, this aircraft has since been retired. The XB-70 was scrapped because it had inferior performance to the B-52 it was meant to replace. That's a shocker. Number 5. Bell X-2 Starbuster. First taking to the skies in 1955, the Starbuster was decommissioned from active service the following year. Since it was a follow-up to the X-2 project, its focus was on studying the dynamics of aircraft at speeds greater than Mach 2.0. Its back-swept wings reduced drag, and its lack of weaponry meant it could reach a record-breaking Mach 3.196 in 1956. However, shortly after reaching the speed, the pilot, Milburn G. Apt, made a fast turn, and the plane plummeted out of control. He lost control of the plane and had to abandon it. He landed too quickly for the escape shuttle's little parachute to slow his descent. The Starbuster project was cancelled after the deadly crash. Number 4. Mikoyan MiG-25 Foxbat. During the height of the Cold War, the Soviet-built jet was deployed to shoot down high and slow-flying American surveillance planes, like the SR-71. Its top speed of Mach 3.2 was necessary because it was designed to chase down the SR-71, which means that its design prioritized speed over all else. As an interceptor rather than a spy plane, Foxbat was equipped with 4 air-to-air missiles, setting it apart from the Blackbird. Despite its many successful combat flights, including those in the Iran-Iraq War, it has never been able to shoot down a Blackbird. However, while over 1,100 Foxbats were produced between 1964 and 1984, only Russia, Syria, Algeria, and Turkmenistan make use of them presently. Also, MiG Flug's MiG-25, which was primarily utilized for edge-of-space flights, was the fastest plane ever made available for pleasure flights. The MiG-25 cost $6 million. Number 3. Lockheed YF-12. Forerunner to the SR-71 Blackbird was the Lockheed YF-12. As a replacement for the F-106 Delta Dart interceptor, development on the YF-12 began in the late 1960s, with the production of 3 prototypes costing around $18 million. When it was being created, the USAF was shifting resources away from the program and toward the Vietnam War and other military priorities. After its service with the United States Air Force came to an end, the YF-12 was used by NASA for study before becoming the prototype for the SR-71. The SR-71 went into production and served the United States Air Force. Number 2. Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird. The United States Air Force and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration have operated it since its debut in 1966. At a cost of $34 million, 32 Blackbirds were produced and put to service in reconnaissance and experimental research. Though equipped with stealth technology to avoid detection, it could nevertheless easily outpace any interceptors or surface-to-air missiles fired at it. Since the air in front of the Blackbird did not have time to dissipate, a tremendous pressure developed, which in turn caused an increase in temperature. Metal expanded at the aircraft's high temperature, which might reach several hundred degrees, necessitating the use of extreme components. This resulted in oil leaking from the SR-71, even when it was at rest. Blackbird is the fastest human-piloted aircraft ever. It took only 1 hour and 54 minutes to get from New York to London, while even Concorde at the time would have taken 2 hours and 52 minutes. Number 1. NASA and US Air Force X-15. The X-15 was a collaborative project between NASA and the US Air Force, and it was a high-speed rocket-powered research aircraft. Although the outcome was more rocket than fighter aircraft, it demonstrated the potential of planes when combined with rocket technology. Only 3 X-15s were created after a decade of development in the 1960s. These were strapped to 2 specially modified B-52 bombers and released in flight. The current record for fastest manned aircraft is held by this aircraft. On October 3, 1967, pilot William J. Pete Knight brought it to its top speed of Mach 6.70. The X-15 was flown by 12 pilots, 8 of whom were able to ascend to an altitude of 50 miles or more, which fulfilled the Air Force's spaceflight requirement, making these pilots instant astronaut material. After 35 years had passed since the last X-15 flight, both the military and civilian pilots were awarded NASA astronaut wings. The X-15 was the world's first fully functional spaceplane, reaching speeds of over 6 times the speed of sound and altitudes of over 100 kilometers. That's absolutely astounding. What do you think? In today's fast-paced world, these planes definitely seem to be living up to their abilities. Now, these are the fastest beasts in air, but what about on roads? To check out some cool vehicles that also rip through the air, watch out our video about the fastest F1 cars. Who can resist a good competition? We know we can't. Have a look and we will see you in our next video.